Blessings. Blessings, everybody. And welcome to Vested in Milwaukee show. And I am your host, Dr. David D. King. And I just want to welcome everybody that's watching from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Also will be aired on Rumble. Just want to welcome each and every one of you tonight as I begin to tag some people on this tonight. And I just hope that you guys will come on in and let's have a real conversation. And you guys know that I am a type of person that I do not bite my tongue, sugarcoat it or nothing. But I think we need to have a serious conversation. And I know you guys just watched the Packers win and Steelers, we played on Monday night. And so, on Thursday night. So we all good when it comes to football, but I will be off way in time to watch that Cincinnati Bengal and Buffalo Bills game. So, but I really wanted to come on and have a conversation that address things that are going on in the city of Milwaukee. And so I am excited about, I just love talking. I love talking about the issues. And so welcome on this Sunday edition to Vested in Milwaukee. Now, I know when I get started, I know I'm going to say some things that's going to make some people upset or some people mad or whatever. But the truth is the truth. And I believe that we need to address truth when it comes to our city, the people in our city. I think that, we have to address a lot of things that sometimes we don't want to address. Sometimes we want to turn our heads or not look at and everything. Good evening, Kelly. I see Kelly Wilson is watching. Good evening. So I want to really address some things, and I want to talk about city leaderships being sellouts, and I think that's something that we really have to talk about, and we really need to address. As you can see in Chicago, you see how their elected officials have sold them out, are doing more for others than they are for them. And then when we come to Milwaukee and we look at Milwaukee and we look at someone that's trying to help people or to try to do the right thing, and they are called Uncle Toms. And I really don't believe that a lot of people really know the word Uncle Tom or who Uncle Tom really was. And if you're ever going to, let me just set the record straight. If you're ever going to insult somebody, do not call him an Uncle Tom. Because Uncle Tom, whose real name is Josiah Hanson, who was born in 1789, was an amazing man. He was born into slavery. He escaped. He worked the Underground Railroad. He opened up a school for slaves. He did a lot of great things. So calling somebody an Uncle Tom is giving them a compliment instead of an insult. So if you want to insult somebody where you feel they're selling out your black community, you might want to try to use the word Sambo besides Uncle Tom, because Sambo is the one that was selling out the slaves and everything like that. So let's get started on some things. And the reason I asked the question about city leadership sellout, and I had a very deep and interesting conversation with a gentleman today, and I thank God for him talking with me and sharing his thoughts and his concerns about the city of Milwaukee, about the condition of certain communities, about people not doing what is right. And so we got to talking, and he asked me questions about leadership in the city of Milwaukee. And one word came to mind: sellout. I think the leadership in the city of Milwaukee are sellouts. I believe that they have walked away from the desires of helping people, and they begin to sell us out. And so as I began to talk with him and share some things with him, a lot of things came to mind. A lot of things came to play, and you know, you talk about certain issues, and when we talk about these issues, right, and especially in the black and brown community, since that's the one that they always want to use, and that's the one they harbor over, and that's the ones they feel that are ignorant to the reality of things, and that's the one that they are lying to. All right. And so they use, as they say, the black and brown community. I'm just going to say Latino Americans and black Americans. I don't want to use those terms. I just want to say Americans, period, because we all was born here. We are Americans. But when you look up the word sellout, this is what it says. It says, a person who compromise their personal value, integrity, talent, etc., for money or personal advancement. And then it says, a person who portrays a cause. Now, we can look at this in a number of ways. We can look at it and say, oh my God, they are sellouts, or because they're not fighting for the cause, or we can just be honest and say they never was for the cause. And let's just take a trip for a minute, right? We have President Obama, and just like any other president, we know other people are pulling the strings. But when President Obama became president, so many black people thought it's our turn. We're about to get what we need. He's about to do some great things for the black community. And they was hyped about it. And when he got in there, black community didn't get anything. And in his second term, he opened his mouth and released and said some things and took care of one community, but it wasn't the black community and it wasn't the brown community. It was the LGBTQ community. That's the community that Obama took care of. And if you look at Joe Biden sat on a black show and said, if you don't support me, you're not black. What the black people didn't know then is Joe Biden was part of the 3 strikes you out clause. Joe Biden said, the moment I am president, I am going to sign into law the Equality Act. Now, they cheated and said Equality Act because they know black people can relate to equality. They knew black people understand diversity, inclusion. They use these words that look like it's going to help the black community. So during Biden run for president, you had Black Lives Matters, you had an uproar in our country, you had people angry, and you had people scared. They was angry because of what happened with George Floyd and everybody else, and then they were scared because of COVID. And Biden says, I am going to sign the Equality Act into law. And nobody knew what the Equality Act was. No black person, really, no white people, really, no Latinos, really. They just heard the word equality. And the moment he signed that in office, men was allowed to go into women's bathrooms. Young men was allowed to shower in the high schools with young girls. Young men and grown men got to play in women's sports. And so you've seen the damage of a man got in a boxing ring and boxed against women. You see what happened in swimming. You saw that on International Women's Day, they gave the award to a transgender. So again, blacks didn't get anything. Latinos didn't get anything. Now that's on a national level. Let's come locally. You look at the condition of the city of Milwaukee and leadership. During election time, they come at you 2 ways. They start sprinkling crumbs to certain so-called leaders who's not a leader, but more of a manipulator. More that can tap into your emotions and your feelings and get you to go vote angrily and everything. And then you when you go pay attention to it later, you be like, oh my God, they got me again. They tricked me again. The black community in the city of Milwaukee is not all about transgender. They are not all about LGBTQ+. They're not in favor of MAP. Let me explain what MAP is. Minor attractive person. That's a pedophile. So the black community is not in full rage and in charge with this going on. That's why some of them is upset. That's why some is mad right now. Because why? Because those that are in office told us, we're going to take care of you. Vote for us and we got you. And so Milwaukee, and a lot of people in Milwaukee has a problem with the indoctrination going on with our children and teaching our children sex education in K4, K5, first grade, second grade. And they have a problem with transgenders sitting there reading to their children. And they have a problem with you trying to make the children go into these little closets and change clothes. So a lot of them got a problem because that's not who we are. And they have a problem. Now, they don't care if you're a grown person. If you're a grown person and you want to become a transgender, or you want to live a gay lifestyle, you're grown. Lead that, but we should not make laws for your bedroom. We should not make you feel safe. And homosexuality did just now, really, most of them just coming out of the closet, and we had to make a law for them to be safe. And at the same time, after the civil rights, black folks are still hollering they don't feel safe. Where's your laws? Let's look at Milwaukee County. Milwaukee County just made the county a sanctuary for transgender and non-binary person. They just made that law. They just signed that ordinance, that resolution that Milwaukee County will now be a sanctuary. The scary part about that, all the Black elected officials on the Milwaukee County Board voted for that. Now, why would they vote for that? Personal gain? Personal investment? Or they just portrayed your cause? So they chose to go along with that. David Crowley, county executive, who's also in Chris Abeley's pocket, had a transgender day, support transgender. On his commercial, he got his baby in his hand and his Bible in his hand. You holding a Bible in your hand and you going along with something that goes against God. Cavalier Johnson, Transgender Day. But what the people don't know is in 2018, Cavalier Johnson wrote an ordinance that if your teenage child or if your child confused sexually, they can get counseling in the city of Milwaukee. They try, as he said it, they're trying to protect. They're trying to protect gay teenagers and because they feel for their safety. So we don't want you to try to convert them. It's called conversion. So we don't want conversion therapy. They cannot have that in the city of Milwaukee. Black people is not crying about who goes to therapy. Black people are trying to say, hey, are you going to make our city safe? What about the education system? Are you going to make that fair? What about mental illness? Are you going to address those issues that we're dealing with? What about domestic violence? Are you going to address those issues? You sold us out again. And here's the thing. Cavalier Johnson is also in the pocket of Chris Abeley. So you got these people who is prospering by selling you out as a city. There's nothing in place. Show me a law that's in place through all the stuff that Black Lives Matter marched for. Where is the sanctuary for normal? Listen to what I'm saying. Normal, natural couples, husband and wife. The values is the values of a normal family, husband and wife. Is their values safe, or is the school board done crossed the line and starting to indoctrinate the children? If you use a certain word in some places, they call that a hate crime. But you know what? That N word has never became a hate crime yet. If you don't use the right pronoun, you out of order. But if you call somebody the wrong name, you're not out of order yet. So when we talk about our lives as individuals, all right? As individuals in the city of Milwaukee, we want to live safe. We want to prosper. We want to have our business prosper. We want our children to have the best education that they can compete with anybody across the world. But we're not getting that. We have a superintendent who just got a raise to keep the kids dumb, to keep the kids ignorant, to keep the kids unlearning, illiterate. Listen, why do you guys think they took cursive writing out of the schools? And don't give me because we got computers. No. They took it out of the schools because if your children can read cursive writing, they can read history. Why? Because everything is documented. There's writings on everything. There's Frederick Douglass writings. There's Winthrop Cheswell's writing, 2 black men. There's Rainey's writings. There's Robert Brown Elliott writing. There's the founding fathers writing. People, their Constitution is written in cursive. So there's writing everywhere. But if you don't read cursive, you don't know what they're saying. So now you need somebody to come and interpret to you what it's saying. And they can tell you anything. The city of Milwaukee, we have been going down for a long time. There was an area of Milwaukee, it was all black. Areas of Milwaukee. Palmer and Garfield. Buffum and Meineke. Second and Reservoir. Used to be all black. Martin Luther King Drive used to have nothing but all black businesses. Juneteenth, they used to go from Burleigh to North Avenue. Then they stopped it to make it go from Burleigh to Center Street. Then they opened it up from Burleigh to Concordia. When Juneteenth Day is over, I want y'all to pay attention to this. When Juneteenth Day is over, they put the horses on Center Street and drive the people back into those neighborhoods because they don't care if they tear those up. Just don't tear up from Clark, Wright, Meineke, North Avenue, Garfield, Lloyd. Why? Because we done brought that area and we done built it up. So we're moving you guys slowly out. And how are they doing that? They're using a black face. That's how they're using it. The black auto person is help pushing you guys out. So when we start to look at this, you got elected officials who won't answer your phone call. We have elected officials who will not come and address your concerns. We got elected officials that does not care about you because you don't matter. Your vote matter, but you don't matter. Now they tell you crazy stuff like this. You need an ID to vote. Or the moment they say you need an ID to vote, oh, they're trying to oppress your votes. They're telling you they want to oppress your votes. They're trying to stop black people from voting because you need an ID. As a black person myself, you can't afford not to have an ID. You have to have an ID so you can share, you can show the police, this is who I am, right? You got to have an ID to rent a hotel room. You got to have an ID to cash your check. You have to have an ID to pick up certain prescriptions. You have to have an ID to get a job. We have to have IDs. Stop listening to those lies because listen, what they didn't tell you is the poll tax. What is the poll tax? The poll tax is where Democrats force the black people in the South to pay a poll tax or illiteracy test because they knew they couldn't read so they can vote. They tried their best to hinder the black votes. And then the Ku Klux Klan was born to stop the black votes. Why was that? Because majority of blacks in the South was under the Republican Party, not the Democrat Party. And I'm not here to talk about parties. I'm here to talk about us being sold out. I'm here to talk about us got to come together and do things. And here's the sad part about it. If you go and look history, go look up history, go look up the role of the church in history, the role of the church in government, the role of the church. Majority, if not all movements back then started in the church, even with the Revolution War. That's why they are called the Black Robe Regiment. Those are pastors that got out of the pulpit and fought in the Revolution War. So if you go back and you look at the church, and here's what they know. They know the church has the best or the most influence on a community and a city. So what do? They go get pastors. Now watch this. They go get them same pastors that preach in their church against homosexuality to support a person who's making laws for homosexuality. Same thing. The same ones that's making laws against you or against what you believe or against what you stand for or however you want to look at it, they got these people making laws after going into the church. And now we got to ask ourselves a serious question. And I'm talking about the church, all of us, the body of Christ. Have we resold Christ for 30 pieces of silver? Have we resold Christ for 30 pieces of silver? Because we the ones that come to our churches to get to vote. We the ones that they running down the street hollering souls to the polls instead of souls to Christ, so that way we can get a godly person to run for office, because we all in the church knows the scripture, right? We all in the church knows that the scripture says when the wicked are in office, the people mourn. But when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Now watch this. It didn't just say church people rejoice. It says all people rejoice. Why? Because those that are righteous is going to govern according to the principles of God. And if they govern according to the principles of God, they will not make any laws that is immoral. Now they will govern, but they're not going to make a law for your bedroom. Nobody should care about who you in bed with, who you having sex with, who you dealing with. Nobody I don't care about anybody's lifestyle or what they do in their bed. But you know what? We shouldn't be making laws. We should not be making laws. But let me explain why they make these laws. I want you guys to get this. Why do you think God gave the children of Israel's law before he gave them land? He gave them law before he gave them land. Why is that? Let me tell you why. Because when they brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, they was under a different law. And under that law, it had different gods you can serve. So they had a different culture. So when God got them to the wilderness, he had to give them new law to change the culture. Now, when you look at our city, those that are in charge of making laws have changed our culture. When is it okay for them to go into the schools, tell 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6th graders, let me do it this way. K4 to 6th graders about sex, about oral sex, about anal sex. When was that ever okay? When was it ever okay that our elected officials could take away from parents the right to teach their children about sex, the right to teach their children who they are in God? God made you a boy. That means you're going to be a head one day. You're going to be a man. You're going to be a leader. You have to be able to provide for a family. And he gave your daughter, he said to you, daughter, you is going to carry life. You're going to carry life. And because you're going to carry life, you're going to be a mother one day. You're going to be able to love on your children. You're going to be able to do some things that a man can't do. And as a mother, as a wife, you're going to be able to do things that a man can't do. And as a husband and as a father, you're going to have to set the tone for the family. The blessings come through the man in the house. See, we're supposed to be teaching this to our children, but yet in the school system, they're indoctrinating our children, and the parents doesn't have a say so. Why? Because of the elected officials that we put in office that have allowed this, because they have sold us out. You got a school board, MPS school board, who claim they ain't got no money, claim they need more money to do what? More money to make sure your kids doesn't get a good education. There's a friend of mine, she's a school teacher. She has 27 kids in her classroom. And with those 27 kids, that's over $405,000 in one classroom. How come they don't have what they need? But you just give a superintendent, you just gave the superintendent a raise, but our school system is failing. And so when you look at Milwaukee, crime is high. And then you got the mayor who opened his mouth and said, well, I got this new program. Do you know all his programs only does one thing? They be there after the crime. There's nothing he presented to show what they're going to do before the crime. What are you going to do to help lower the crime rate? Okay, we know the statistics is down, but if they down, but what numbers are you using to say those statistics are down? Especially when you ain't did nothing different. So what are you using? What are you using? What numbers are you using that is down and you did not use and you haven't done anything different? Einstein says the same system that caused the problem cannot be the same system that fixed the problem. And so what we end up doing is we continue to allow these people to sit in office and lie to us. But the question is, how do they get there? How do they continue to get repeat over and over again? And don't give me name recognition, because that's not it. I'm going to tell you what it is. We allow them to lie to us. We allow them to share things with us that they're lying. There's a lady who's fighting against school board, and I want you to know one thing. I applaud her efforts, even though her efforts is out of ignorance. I applaud her efforts. She really cares about the kids. I really, really, really applaud her efforts. But her efforts is out of ignorance. I'm not going to call her name, but her efforts is out of ignorance. And I'm going to tell you why it's out of ignorance. The Republican Party does not control MPS. The Republican Party does not have somebody that's over DPI, Department of Public Instruction. A liberal is in charge of DPI. The liberals are in charge of MPS. The superintendent, all the ones, if you go look up everybody that's on the school board and look at their pictures, you'll see them taking pictures with Tony Evers and the rest of them. But they tell you it's because of the Republicans. We need more money. Need more money for what? You got money in the classrooms, but you're not doing anything to educate our kids. When graduation comes, 8% can read at their grade level, 6% can do math at their grade level. 8% grade level. 8% can read. 6% can do math at their grade level. You steal their dreams. They desire, our young people desires to be doctors and nurses, and they don't want to just be a rapper. They don't want to just be a basketball player or a football player. They want to do great things, and you snatch their dream and you give them a nightmare, oppressing them, telling them because of the color of your skin. I heard an old man say one day, he said, I got bamboozled, I got fooled. He says, I was out there with Jesse Jackson saying power to the people, saying that we oppress, saying that they're holding us down, saying that they don't want us to rise up, saying this thing. He said, I was all in that I started hating people. And then he said, wait a minute. Jesse kids go to a private school. Jesse eating. Jesse is not oppressed. Why am I oppressed? Jesse's job was to keep you oppressed. Jesse knew that they were sterilizing black women in the 60s. Al Sharpton told everybody, I'm for the black community. Now the money come another way. I'm for transgender and I'm from LGBTQ because it's all about civil rights and everybody should have the same rights. Interesting, ain't it? No black person. Now they got accused of some stuff, but no black person ever got hung because he was having who he was having sex with in his bedroom. They messed us up so bad. And we see that they sold us out. We see the red flags, and we won't say nothing. So how and where did it come from? Or how did Milwaukee get so bad? I remember as a kid here in the city of Milwaukee, everything we needed was in the house. We had food, we had a bed, we had clothes, we had heat, we had electricity. We had everything in the house we needed. But what we wanted, we had to go get. And I remember shining shoes at the barbershop right on 3rd Street. I worked at a barbershop. I shined shoes, I swept up. And I used to hear those gentlemen talk. And they were so proud of what they accomplished, and they were so how should I say it? Proud about who they were as an individual, to the fact where their name meant more than anything. And I remember my mom called me and she said, called me in the room one day and she said, son, listen, you are not better than nobody and nobody is better than you. Right then and there, I was on the same level field as everybody. Now, did I have to work harder than some? Probably so. But it didn't matter to me because I knew nobody better than me. And I worked hard at everything that I've done in this city, the work that I've done to go help other people get jobs, help people get off drugs, help people that were suicide. I did it because I loved the people. And I watched how this city shifted when Tom Barrett took over. And I watched how they were starting to move blacks out of those certain areas. And I watched and I told people, they're going to move you out. They're pushing you out. And I told people, they don't care about you. And I sat there and I watched an organization to this day get money to help the people in the city of Milwaukee get jobs. And I saw one of the contracts, and they was getting $3,700 a head that walked through their door. $3,700 a head. Let me show you how they sell us out. Because some of these organizations selling us out too. $3,700 a head. At the time, I was transporting 450 people a day to work. Another organization was sending people to me because they knew if they walked in my office, they was going to work. I get a phone call and I meet with them. I say, I make a deal with you. You're getting $3,700 to get these people jobs. Give me $1,500 a head through my organization. We'll get them all a job. We would transport them all. We would make sure they have what they need. We'll do them like we're doing everybody else. We'll walk the whole 90 days with them. So now you guys are going to get a success story that you gave Billy a job. Billy made it through his 90-day probation because that was one of the biggest problems. They couldn't stay 90 days. So they would walk through their 90-day probation with them, and now you got success stories. They told me no. They didn't want to do that. So this week passed, I get a phone call from that organization. Said, I got a gentleman here who needs a job. Can you really help him? I told him how you helped my son and everything, and my son is doing great now. So I wondered, can you help him? You're getting paid to help him. But let me tell you what they do. They take him in. Step one, intake. Get all the information. So that's a number. He's number one. Next, he goes and he sit in a career class or training. That's step two. So they're getting paid twice for that young man. Then he goes to resume writing. And if you saw some of the resumes, you would be laughing or mad. Then they go, and guess what happens? They go to an interview, and they don't get the job. So, mind you, he started off at number one. Now he has to go back to them, and now he's number 10. He's a new number. Same name, new number. So by the time they got a report, they gives you how many people come through their door. It's a number game. It's not a success. People in Milwaukee, hear me and hear me well. You want money to come into this city like it's supposed to? You want better for yourself, your family, your nephew, your son, your grandson? Then let's fix Milwaukee. More money will come into the city if it was healed than it will being sick. More people would want to invest in Milwaukee if you had a safer city and a different culture, a thriving city. They would invest in there. They would pour money in there. Nobody want to pour money in now. They wait on it to die. They wait on it to look like Detroit. They wait on it to look like Baltimore. They wait on it to look like Gary, Indiana. See, that's what they needed to do. They needed to die. They needed to destroy so they can come in and buy it up. That's what they need. And that's why they are using the sellouts to get it done. When have you seen, not in our little, and not in a group, in a closed door group meetings like they want to do? They want to have these little group meetings, and they're away from the cameras, and then say, "Oh yeah, we for the black community, we want to do this." But yet, they never get in front of the camera and says, "You guys, we got to stop the black on black crime because we're really killing ourselves." They never say, "We got to stop black abortions because we done lost 20 million of us already." Let me stop there for a minute. Somebody help me understand this. When they talk about abortions, they say it's not a person, it's a fetus. And they argue it's a fetus, it's not alive. I even heard a pastor say one time, the baby is not a person until it come out the womb. So it's not a person. So it's okay to abort the baby because it's not. So it's just a fetus. But if somebody kill a woman that's pregnant, it's double homicide. How can it be both? How can it be either a fetus on one incident, but a person on another incident? So if the woman if a man or woman kills somebody that's pregnant, that's double homicide. But if a woman abort, she's not aborting a baby, she's aborting a fetus. Help me make sense to me. Help me make this sense to me, because it doesn't make sense. And so when we start to do this thing, we start to slow down and start to ask and answer questions, right? We got to start answering some questions. How is it in the city of Milwaukee is a worse place for a black person to raise their family, and we got all these black elected officials in office, and nothing's happening in the black community? Help me understand this. Help me understand that if they defund police the way they claim defund police, that it won't affect the black community with the shortage of police or the shortage of a fire department. Tell me those response time is going to be quicker in the black community like they are downtown. Help me to understand that. Help me understand that's something that is going to happen, because help me understand that, because here's the thing about it. It's not because of the fact that they have already sold you out. They sold your children out. And if the crime is real bad, then they'll come out and then they'll say it's sad. When has the last time you've seen the mayor in our city, inside the community, sitting down with those same people he claiming without camera, and say, let's get this stuff done? Enough is enough. When have we had the mayor hold public works accountable for the service that's given to one side of town versus the other side of town? Show me evidence that the lead problem is done. We talked about it and it calmed down out of the media and it just went away. Show me what they've done. Show me the evidence that they fixed the lead problem. Show me his plan. What has he done for mental illness? Nothing. You know why? I get those phone calls. I go out there with those families to help deal with their family member that's dealing with mental illness. What is he doing? I try to get someone to go into, oh my God, what is the place? It's a mental place facility. My daughter was working there. Oh, I can't think of it now. Start with an R. What is the name of that place? It'll come to me. But we try to get people there. What do we have in place for people that's mental illness? What do we have in place for people that are homeless? What are they doing? They're giving out all this money and they're doing money on research. You don't need no more research. You don't need no more data. You need to roll up your sleeve and get to work. That's what we need. We don't need no more. Well, the research says, the data says, and then, most of this is coming. Rogers, that's it. Thank you, sir. Rogers, and so when we look at this place, right, Rogers can't do it all. And so you got to have a place where really going to take care of our mental illness. We need a place that's really going to take care of our veterans and those that are sleeping. Now watch this. Remember when 2019, when they thought the DMC, the Democrat National Convention, the DNC, was going to be in Milwaukee. Y'all remember that? Right by the bus station, you had Tent City. Right under the bridge, right under the viaducts, you had Tent City. And because the Democrats' convention was coming, they put fence up there and evicted homeless people from under the bridge. Y'all remember that? Now, the Republican National Convention is coming. Watch what they try to do with the homeless again. They don't care about them. They just don't want the people to see them. They don't care. And we keep voting these same people in. And we listen to people that tells us. I had a conversation with a pastor. And I said to the pastor, I said, would you fellowship with a gay pastor? I asked him, I said, would you fellowship with a gay pastor? And he said, no. I said, but you will vote for somebody that is pushing gay and transgender agenda. And he was like, yes. And I'm like, so why would you vote for somebody that you won't fellowship with someone, because the one that you fellowshipping with, you can help him get delivered or set free. You don't want to fellowship with him, but you will vote for people that's pushing agendas against what you preaching. Well, my job is just to pray for them. Don't you supposed to pray for the pastor? See, we got standards. We got the wrong standards. And quit letting them tell you our children is out here because they're dealing with post-slavery syndrome, whatever. I heard one lady say, well, they only acting like that because of slavery. I'm like, you guys is lying now. Why is they lying? Because look at the ones who actually dealt with slavery. Those that was born into slavery, those that got free, they had been very successful. Frederick Douglass, very successful. Robert Brown Elliott, very successful. Winthrop Cheswill, very successful. You had so many that came out of slavery. And did y'all know that in 1920, blacks had their own amusement park? From 1920 to what? 1960, blacks had their own baseball league. They had their own league, but they wasn't messed up because of slavery that they can play baseball. They didn't mess up because they had their own amusement park. They didn't mess up because they opened up their own medical schools. They didn't mess up because they had Black Wall Street. They didn't mess up because they started their own businesses. They didn't mess up because they made sure their kids got an education. So we can't put this crap on slavery like they talking. We had successful people after slavery. We just now getting worse to the fact that we look like slavery. Why? Because now they're making it against the law for your children to read or to learn how to read and write. They was doing great. Those of you that's from Milwaukee, you know what Milwaukee 3rd Street looked like. You know the black businesses that was up and down 3rd Street, which is now known as Martin Luther King Drive. You know we had our cleaners, our gas stations, our corner stores, our grocery stores, our restaurants. How many of y'all remember Mr. Cooper? Mr. Cooper had an ice cream parlor that was started off on 12th and Burleigh, ended up on 3rd and Burleigh. How many of y'all remember QF&H, one of the best soul food restaurants in the city? We had all of that. We had black corner stores. How many of y'all grew up over by Victor Burger and knew the store called Russell's? Or Tom's on Buffum and Burleigh. See, we had it. It ain't like we didn't have it. And it's not like we didn't have it. We had it. And the problem is we've been getting sold out. And we've been getting sold out and telling them vote for us because I'm black and I'm going to take care of you. You ain't took care of us. The NAACP sold out the black community. You say, what? When have you saw the NAACP have a press conference say, listen, black people, especially our young black men, we need to come together and we got to stop killing each other? When did you ever hear NAACP say, listen, black people, we got to come together and we got to stop aborting these babies? When did you hear the NAACP listen, we need our black children educated? The problems that are occurring, crime is because one of the biggest causes of crime is education. 2 is the lack of fathers. When are we going to say, when did the NAACP say we got to stop allowing them to lock up all these fathers? When? They have not said nothing. They haven't said anything. So who are coming to save us? Guess what? We are. I take my hat off to Coach Will Turner, who is the football coach, the athletic director over at Kingdom Prep Lutheran High School, and now the wrestling coach. He doesn't just coach those guys on the field. He's in their life every day. I do the same thing with the basketball team. I'm not just a basketball coach. Whatever they're trying to do in life, I'm right there for them. I'm letting them know you guys can make it. I tell my basketball team, basketball is plan B. Tell me plan A. Let me help you get to plan A. Let me help you be successful in your life. And I also told them, once I become the mayor of the city of Milwaukee, I'm still going to coach you guys. Why? Because you need to see somebody in a position, a high position, that is willing to come down and still spend time with the young men. I told him I'm not. I told Coach Turner, the athletic director. I told the president, Mr. Festeline. I said, I'm staying. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to show them what it's like for having somebody in a position that don't mind coming back and empowering them and pouring into their life. This is how we get it done. This is how we come together. We cannot afford 4 years. Listen, and I know people try to scare you into voting and everything. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to bring you into reality. These people have shown their true colors. They have sold us out. They have lied to us numerous of times. They don't respect us. They don't take our phone calls. They don't come and deal with the situation that's going on in your community. They're not giving you the best service that you deserve in your community, because you deserve to have the best. They're not doing none of those. And so in the process of that, in the process of all of that, you got to get up. They keep you away from local races because they know that if we only going to get you fired up for 2 races, governor race, presidential race. We're not going to get you fired up for local races, because if we get you to wake up on local races, we lose our power. So we don't want you to rise up on the local races. We need you to stay down. We need you not to even go out. That's why for the mayor's race in 2020, I got the numbers. $91,000 people voted in the mayor's race. 91,916 people. In the county executive race, 89,297 people voted for a county executive. Because in that same year, over 200,000 voted in the presidential race. So what's the difference? Why they're not telling you to vote locally? Because they want to stay in control. They want to continue to govern your life. They want to continue to not give you what you need. They want to continue to make sure that you stay ignorant to what they're doing. Because locally, It's dealing with your whole life. Now, they raise taxes. Taxes goes up January. After they raised taxes, they went behind closed doors and gave themselves a raise. Do that look like they're there for you? And they raised taxes for their pension to make sure the money for their pension is there. They don't care about you. When are we going to wake up? When are we going to realize that they haven't done anything? Look at your area. What can they brag about that they've done for your area, for your city, for your district, for your neighborhood? What can they brag that they've done? Nothing. Not a thing. Nothing. But what they will tell you is they're for you. They sold you out for their own personal advancement. They don't care about you. And we got to realize that, Milwaukee. We got to realize that. They haven't done nothing to make sure your grandmother is safe, your mother is safe, your children is safe. Done nothing to make sure your children can compete with anybody else. And let me tell y'all something. There's not a lack of jobs out here. There's a lack of not enough qualified people for those jobs. That's where the problem is. It's not that there is no jobs. It's just that the people is not qualified. Why? Because some can't read, some can't do math. So how they gonna get a job? That's why I love the Joyce House. You guys ought to check out the Joyce House on the corner of 56 and North Avenue. Mercedes is doing a great work over there. She's helping those people to learn how to read and get their education. You ought to go check out Miss Grayson on the South Side. She's doing a great job helping those kids get their diplomas and helping them to get work experience. You ought to check out a friend of mine by the name of Don Thurman, who went to prison, came out, success story, helping so many young men, but they don't want to acknowledge these people. Why? Because these people are coming with solutions, and they don't want to acknowledge them. And I know this because while I was giving out all those jobs, they came in my office and said, we will give you some money, but you won't shut up. I'm not for sale. So I'm not going to shut up. But I am going to fight. And I'm going to fight until we make Milwaukee a better place. And I'm going to expose things. And you guys going to have to make your own decision. But ain't nothing going to change until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. When you're sick and tired of them dogging you out. When you're sick and tired of them not allowing the city to be safe for you. When you're sick and tired of the education system not allowing your children to get a proper education. When you are sick and tired of indoctrinating your children sexuality, confusing them on whether they are male or female. When you are sick and tired of it, then the thing's going to change. But until then, ain't nothing going to change. You got to be sick and tired. Look at Chicago. They are sick and tired. They have known they've been sold out. They have known they've been tricked. They have known they've been lied to. They know it now. They know it, and they're upset and they're fed up. And they serve notice. They have already served notice. I got a link on my Facebook page that shows what they're talking about. They're sick and tired of the lies and the mistreat. How long are you going to allow them to continue to mistreat you? How long are you going to allow them to vote against your values, your own personal values, what you believe in? In Michigan, if you use the wrong pronoun in Michigan, that can be a felony. In California, If you don't affirm your child in whatever they want to be, by law, child protection could come in and take your child out of the house. If your child in California or in Washington State want to have a sex change and they run away, they will not tell you where they at, and they will give them the surgery. Instead of you asking your children, what did you learn today? I think you need to have a conversation. What did they talk to you about today? Because when they go in those doctor's office, the doctors, if you're not in there, they ask them, are you comfortable being a boy? Are you comfortable being a girl? Have you ever wanted your sex changed? Are you afraid of your parents if you want your sex changed? They're asking these questions already. And if you think I'm joking, go look up in 2018, your mayor, Cavalier Johnson, wrote an ordinance that the people cannot get conversion therapy in the city of Milwaukee to protect, as he called it, him and other person at the time, Chantel Lewis. They both is the one that pushed that. We have to do some work. We got a lot of work to do, Milwaukee. And we got to come to the middle. Because I'm sure there's a lot of us who want a safer city. There's a lot of us who want our business to thrive and to grow. There's a lot of us that wants to do things differently in the city of Milwaukee, want leadership change in the city. Okay, then we got to come to the middle. We have to come to the middle and have a mind to work, because it's going to take all of us, each and every one of us, to make Milwaukee better. It's going to take all of us. And if the schools, MPS doesn't do what it's supposed to do, we have enough teachers, principals in the church community that we can have the churches open up schools. There's no such thing as separation from church and state. It's nowhere in the Constitution. All it says is a state cannot govern a church, and this country cannot be a one religion country. That's all. But it takes all of us. And I challenge you to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's not normal to hear gunshots and fall to the floor. That's not a normal lifestyle. And it should not be normal, or we should not be numb to those kind of living. We got to do better. And I'm here to help. If you're here to help me, I am here to help you. Together, we can have a better Milwaukee. Together, we can have a thriving city, a prosperous city, a safe city for all of us. But it's going to take all of us. I want to say thank you to FeedSpot for recognizing our podcast, and we are ranked number 9 of the best political podcast in the state of Wisconsin through FeedSpot. So I want to thank FeedSpot for that, and let's give ourselves a hand. Number 9. Listen, people, it's going to take all of us. I ain't trying to scare nobody. I'm just trying to be real with everybody. We give these people 4 more years in office. Every elected official should be challenged in this spring election. Somebody should be running for every office. County supervisors, county executive, alderperson. I'm running for the mayor. School board, everybody. District attorney, treasurer. If they let a plan go through, the treasurer would receive a $30,000 raise. 30,000. 30,000. Everybody needs to be challenged. And we got to show them that we're tired. We got to show them that we're sick of this. We have to do that. It takes all of us. Every last one of us. To get up, to rise up. And then we got to question every person that are supporting everybody in office. You need to question, why are you supporting them and they ain't done nothing? You got to ask them. You have to challenge them. Why are you supporting this person and he haven't done anything for us? Then you got to ask, why are you supporting a person that pushing transgender on us? And you said, and I'm talking about your leaders now, your spiritual leader, you said it's an abomination and a sin. So why are you pushing sin? Why are you pushing something that you preach to us about that's going against God, but you're supporting the same thing that you just preached that's going against God? See, we got to ask questions now. It's over not asking any questions. Because this is what's coming next. MAP is coming next. And you're probably saying, what is MAP? Minor attractive person. Minor attractive person. Those are pedophiles. They want their rights. You can't tell them who they can fall in love with. And your children and grandchildren is going to be at stake. How do you want it? We can accept it or we can let it pass. We already know they messed up the budget. We already know we're already in the red that we might be bankrupt in a year or two. That's what they say. We already know that they're raising sales taxes. We already know that they're going to put a nice house in the neighborhood where your grandmama live, and the tax rate going to go up, and your grandma's finance is not going up. Her income is not going up. So sooner or later, she's going to lose her house, not to mortgage, but to taxes. But we're not saying those kind of things. But this is what we're up against. This is what they do to us. It's time to stop voting the way we've been voting. And it's time to do homework, and it's time to ask questions, and it's time for us as a community, as a city, to come together and rebuild the walls of our city, because they are torn down and we are vulnerable, and it's time to rebuild. We gotta make sure the foundation, first and foremost, are intact. That's what we got to do. So I just want you guys to know, I just came on for a little while. I'm not going to mess with Sunday Night Football and give you that to yourself. But we got to ask that question. Did they sell us out for their own personal investment or for money? Or did they portray the cause? Because they come to you with a cause. Oh, I'm here for the black community. Did they sell you out did they portray the cause? Was they really there for you in the beginning? All right? This is Dr. David D. King, the next mayor of the city of Milwaukee. God bless.